Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, today I'm going to do something I usually don't do. In fact, it's something I usually try and avoid doing. We're going to get a little bit political today. Turns out that a gentleman who's running for governor of the state of Texas, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, is coming to Waco today, and I'm going to run down there and see what he has to say and hopefully maybe get a little interview with him. So I think this will be kind of interesting. And I mean, you know, if you get an opportunity to potentially interview the next governor of Texas, who wouldn't do that, right? Let's go. Now, this isn't the first time I've attended a speech by Allen West. And in fact, last time I did, I found him very friendly, very outgoing. And that's why I'm sort of hoping that he will consent to give me a little short interview. I got a couple of things that I'd like to ask him, and I'd be very interested in hearing what he has to say. All right, so this is the man himself, Colonel Allen West. He's running for governor in the great state of Texas. And I guess the first question I have is why? I'm someone who comes from California, and so I look at politics from that perspective. When you're looking like a Gavin Newsom or a Pete Wilson or something like that, you look at someone like Greg Abbott, and they seem pretty reasonable and pretty sane. So how do you see yourself different from Greg Abbott, and what would you do differently?
Well, I think first and foremost, I would not have shut down the state of Texas. I would not have made the decision that I can decide who or what is essential, nor would I have changed election law in Texas to extend the early voting from 2 weeks to 3 weeks without consultation of the legislative branch, who are supposedly the only people that can change
right,
the law.
That's what the Constitution says.
That's what the Constitution says. So those type of things. But you look at what is happening with our border. I mean, I would have immediately jumped on Joe Biden when he tried to, well, he has unconstitutionally implemented an open borders policy, and I would have stepped in under the rights that the Constitution gives me, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, to make sure that we took control of the border, that we were apprehending people and detaining people, arresting people, and deporting people.
Right.
If you're just arresting folks but letting them go, that's part of the problem, not the solution.
Right.
So it's things like that, and also I don't think that we should have, in such an energy-rich state like Texas, ever going into the dark again like we saw happen in February. We're the Saudi Arabia of natural gas.
Yeah, exactly.
And how did people not understand and be prepared for what we saw coming? And we knew about 10 days out that was coming.
Right.
So it's things such as that.
Right.
And having been the former chairman of the Republican Party of Texas and the legislative priorities we had in the 87th legislative session, and to see a lot of those priorities just get the Heisman, the stiff arm from the governor and the leadership down there, that was something that really made me believe that, okay, if you want to effect change here for the state of Texas, you got to be part of that leadership team that's down in Austin.
Well, you've actually kind of touched on a couple of other questions I wanted to talk to, because I did want to talk to you about the border situation.
Sure.
And right now we know Joe Biden is just basically letting anyone in who wants to come in.
And that's very dangerous. And then what has happened in Afghanistan.
Yeah, well, and with the whole COVID thing also.
Absolutely. And so you've got a drug trafficking issue, you got a human and sex trafficking issue. Texas and California go back and forth between number 1 and number 2 for human and sex trafficking in the United States of America. I don't think we want to be in that position. And then you got the public health crisis.
Right.
And so when you are allowing people to come across the border, you're not mandating them to wear a mask, you're not mandating them to be tested.
Be vaccinated, right.
Vaccinated. So why do you want to do that to the law-abiding citizens here in Texas when you're allowing the illegals to come in and be transported all throughout the state of Texas, throughout the United States of America? So it creates that public health crisis.
And we kind of know that that's what Biden and the Democrats would like to do, is turn Texas blue, because once Texas goes blue, that's the end.
That's the end. And I think that's why when you look at this open borders agenda, which Governor Abbott has not stopped. On top of that, you got H.R. 1. What does H.R. 1 say? You don't have to have a voter ID, picture ID to vote, no voter registration roll review, universal mail-in ballots. So think about if a bunch of ballots got mailed to some of these stash houses, where we just found in Houston you had 90 people in one stash house. That's how you topple a state like Texas. And so that's why it's so important that you have a governor, you have a leader that sees these things before they get to you, and you rectify these problems in these situations.
So what can you as a governor do to stop that? Because border control is a federal issue.
Yeah, but the Constitution in Article 1, Section 10 and Clause number 3 says that a state can take an action to defend itself against invasions when there's an imminent threat, and I think there's an imminent threat, especially when we
between
look at
terrorism and the coronavirus.
Public health, absolutely, all
Right.
of those things, without any admitted delay. That's what the Constitution says.
Okay.
And the Constitution also, in Article 4, Section 4, talks about what the federal government is supposed to do. And they're supposed to protect the states from invasion and protect our sovereignty. Well, you have
They aren't doing it.
Absolutely. They have abdicated that constitutional duty and responsibility. So understanding states' rights and the 10th Amendment, we have to do it.
Okay. All right, great. What about mask mandates and vaccine passports,
No
stuff like that?
This is wrong.
Right.
Okay, we are a republic. We have a representative democracy. We're not supposed to be ruled by mandates, edicts, orders, and decrees. And one of the problems is that, Governor Abbott opened up the Pandora's box last year by issuing mask mandates, shutting down businesses.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to get the progressive socialists in Dallas County or Harris County, whatever, to act right because he's concerned. He's running for re-election. Now he's trying to seem like the
gotta
tough
look
guy
tough.
that's standing up for constitutional and individual rights when he violated those.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of a hypocrisy and that we see happening, but that's what politicians do.
Right.
So, no, I don't believe in mandating.
Okay, great. Next issue, critical race theory in our schools and in our military.
It's absolutely stupid. I mean, I was born in 1961 in a blacks-only hospital. I have become a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, commanded the battalion 600 when my dad served in the Army in World War II when it was a segregated Army. This is a great country. And I grew up in the same neighborhood as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Atlanta.
I was reading that.
Ward neighborhood. And Dr. King said that he hoped for a country and a time in this country where his children would be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
Right.
And here we are going backwards.
We're going backwards, yeah. Martin Luther King must be rolling in his grave.
He should be rolling in his grave. So there will be no critical race theory in the state of Texas as long as I'm governor, and we'll just cut off the funding to schools and to include universities and colleges that are state supported, because we cannot allow this cultural Marxism to permeate itself here in the Lone Star State.
Okay. All right. Now, one more issue on more of a personal note. I'd like to talk to you about what's going on with your wife and her little incident in Dallas last weekend.
I just found out
a couple weeks ago.
Just found out driving down here that the toxicology exam from the Dallas Police Department.
I saw the letter you posted on Facebook.
So everything is dropped.
Yeah.
But the thing is, how do we get to the point in America? And this is not just me standing up for my wife.
Right.
But it's about me standing up for everyone here in Texas. You cannot arrest and charge someone for something based upon a suspicion.
Yeah, and I mean, they did. She had a 0 on the blood toxicology for both drugs and alcohol. I remember you posted almost immediately the receipt from P.F. Chang's that night showing that she had nothing more than lemonade, which is and not the good lemonade.
No,
the regular old lemonade.
And so we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt our case. But you cannot arrest and charge people, at least I thought you couldn't in the United States of America or in Texas, unless you had evidence and proof of a crime.
Right.
So I think that this is a huge issue that we need to look into. And how many people out there are not fortunate enough to have a spouse that has a platform like my wife Angela and her husband has.
Right.
And so I have to be a voice not just for her but for all Texans. And that's one of the things that I'll do as a governor. I'm going to fight for everyone and stand on the right of the Constitution and the rule of law.
Okay. And you've asked for the police officer, the arresting officer, to be fired and an apology from the chief of police, correct?
Absolutely.
Anything happen on that?
Haven't heard anything about
Haven't heard anything about that. Okay. Well, I saw the dash cam video that you posted a couple weeks ago, and I didn't see anything that indicated she was intoxicated.
And I will tell you that if you see the full video, it's even more incriminating and more damning.
You've seen the full video?
No, our lawyer has.
Okay. All right. So what do you do next with that?
We'll wait to see if they want to own up to the mistake that they made, because that's what we teach our children, is to take responsibility for your actions.
Right.
And if they don't want to do that, then I think that we'll look at some other courses of action that we have.
All right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate
pleasure.
that.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. I've been hearing about people doing this all over the place. This is the first time I've actually seen one. They actually got all their names on it too. That's kind of cool. So I don't know about you, but that was really exciting for me. I've never gotten to interview somebody of that caliber before. Now I know some of you may not agree with his politics, and like I said, I was leery about doing this a little bit because, you know what, I try and keep this a politics-free zone because a lot of times politics kind of divides people. But when you get an opportunity to interview a potential governor candidate and somebody who actually could take the position, and a former congressman and chairman of the RNC and a whole bunch of stuff like that, and talk to them about the issues, you really got to take that opportunity. So I'm glad I got a chance to do this. I was really excited that he gave me so much time. I mean, I went and saw him about a year and a half ago, and found him to be a really nice and friendly and outgoing kind of person. So I thought there was a reasonable chance that he'd sit down and talk to me for a little bit on camera. Last time he wasn't doing anything politically, you know, he was chairman of the RNC, but it never really dawned on me to try and interview him at that point for the vlog. But this time, since he was running for governor, I thought, you know, let's try this. I heard about this event a couple weeks ago, and I said, I'm going to go and try and interview him, see what happens. And like I said, it was a lot easier than I expected it was going to be. I went in there figuring I was going to have to go through a whole spiel, explain who I am, what I'm doing, you know, before I got to this. The truth is, I just got in there, I introduced myself, I told him, you know, I saw you about a year and a half ago when you were in town, and I came from California, and we talked about that a little bit. And then I said, you know, and I'm an independent vlogger. And before I got anything else out, he said, okay, where do you want to go? He didn't even, you know, I didn't even have to ask. He knew where I wanted to go with that. Second I said I was an independent vlogger, he said, yeah, I'll let you talk to me on camera. So that's how that all happened. I was really excited about that. I thought the interview was very interesting, and in fact, he, you know, it was kind of a precursor of what he talked about, because a lot of the stuff he said to me on camera, he said again in his speech. So anyway, we did that. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed that, and I think that's all that I have for today. So thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.